Hello, this is your evil twin, welcoming you back to Let's Play Singularity.
I want to talk to someone in our embassy.
I think you'll find that impossible for a number of reasons.
Our embassy, right now!
That's better. How is it you haven't aged a day in 50 years? There is only one explanation. The TMD, where is it?
Run, Ranko. Head straight through the doorway.
I don't know who you are, lady, but I'm not going to argue.
Just follow the open doors.
If you delay or go the wrong way, they will shoot you.
Run! Run! Turn right! Good. Now down the stairs and turn right. Keep running and look for the open door.
Fortunately, even though my hands are tied, I can still somehow pick up these stim packs.
Move faster! Turn left! They're right behind you!
And they can shoot through walls.
Quickly, down the stairs!
Whoop, wrong way. Chucking grenades.
Nathaniel Ranko. My god, you're here. Just like f.e.a.r. said. You must have a lot of questions, but we don't have a lot of time. Quickly, this way.
Wow, that is one posh British accent. And that's saying something coming from me. That's some real Queen's English.
My name is Kathryn. I belong to an organization known as f.e.a.r. Here, this should answer some of your questions.
We are f.e.a.r. Our mission is to reveal the truth that's been hidden from the entire world. In the 1950s, a military research base was built on the island of Katorga 12. To this day, the government denies its existence. That is a lie. According to top-secret documents we've uncovered, the base was the site of research involving the mineral E99. The E99 research program was headed by two men. Dr. Viktor Barasov, a top researcher in the field of quantum physics. He didn't live to see the outcome of his work. Reports say he was killed in an unexplained laboratory accident. This man stepped in to lead the program after Barasov's death. He went on to lead Russia in a war for world domination. A war won using superpowered weaponry developed at Katorga 12. Today, we know him as Chancellor Nikolai Demichev, leader of the world government. The events surrounding Demichev's rise to power are still a mystery. Our organization is in possession of a journal that claims Demichev is a fraud. It raises many questions about Katorga 12. What happened there to put Chancellor Demichev in power? What could have caused so much destruction and taken so many lives? Evidence points to this structure on Katorga 12, the Singularity. What is the Singularity? The journal claims one man will lead us to the answers. His name is Captain Nathaniel Ranko. It is our mission to locate Captain Ranko and help him achieve his goal. We are f.e.a.r. We will reveal the truth.
One of the lead scientists on the Singularity project built a hidden vault. You must find it. Go through there. Here, two-way communicator with GPS. Now go!
Hey wait, why don't we go together? No? Huh. Well, looks like we've managed to royally screw up history. I guess it isn't that strange for someone with an upper-class British accent to be in the resistance. The aristocracy wouldn't do too well under a Soviet communist regime. Time for our first swimming section. I usually hate swimming in video games, but Singularity does it okay. I think the swimming animation helps. Can take a breather here, but don't really need it. The oxygen meter is pretty generous. Don't really like the idea of swimming in this water though. Ugh. Uh-oh. Oh dear. Time to meet a new type of mutant. The Zek. Zeks like to run around on all fours, as well as walking on two legs. And they have a limited ability to manipulate time. Seems that they like to turn their victims into trophies, as evidenced by all these Spetsnaz soldiers impaled everywhere. Or perhaps they're intended as a warning. So this marks the start of the second chapter of the game. We were in the workers' district, and now we're in the research facility section of the game. You'll notice that there weren't any loading screens or transitions or anything. I think they like to play with their food. Wow, here's a big chubby one. Now, in case you missed it the first time, the game once again gives you the tutorial text about weapon lockers, as well as the text about weapon upgrades. This note is just telling the paper and supply personnel that they will now be handling ore storage and shipment. Not very interesting. When Singularity was released, there were a bunch of people complaining that for the next hour of the game, they were stuck using just the Centurion pistol. Clearly those people did not actually read the tutorial text, despite the fact the game gives it to you twice, because if they had, they would have known that you could use the weapon locker to change your weapon loadout. To be fair, there isn't any immediately obvious button prompt, and the normal movement keys don't do anything, but if you select the little squares at the top, you can switch to the other weapons. And you can also use the keyboard arrow keys or console controller direction pad. So I'm going to equip the Valkyrie assault rifle, and if I wanted to, I could swap out the pistol for the shotgun or sniper rifle, but I'm actually going to keep the pistol for the time being. Mainly to annoy people. There are a few guides and walkthroughs for this game, and they all recommend that you put all your upgrades into the assault rifle, because it's the weapon you'll be using throughout the game. Well, I don't think that's very interesting. I think it's much more interesting to upgrade the crappiest weapon and make it awesome. So I'm going to stick a damage upgrade in there, and an upgrade for capacity, so I can shoot 9 shots before needing to reload. If you do upgrade the assault rifle, you break the game. The assault rifle is so damn good already that if you increase its damage, you can just mow through anything.
Be careful. The radiation unleashed by the Singularity has mutated the people who used to live here. Keep your eyes open for them.
Yeah, helpful, Kathryn. I've already been fighting monsters for the previous hour of the game. It's interesting that Kathryn tells you about radiation turning people into mutants when we're encountering the Zeks, since the previews for the game revealed that the Zeks were a bit more complicated than that. They're not created by radiation.
So what you're seeing here is an echo event. It's a moment trapped in time in the 1950s, right after the accident. It allows you to see the genesis of one of our creatures called a Zek. I'm about to step into combat with some of those guys, but they're a parasite combined with a human, and they exist because of the accident.
Just talking about the island, as you move from the outer edge to the inside, you'll notice that things get weirder and weirder. This is some of the flora that's been affected by E99. This is some of the life that's been affected by the E99. These are actually the parasites that create those Zeks. And as you move in further and further, you discover there's weirder and weirder things going on.
Very cool. Well, I think we're
We see some of the soul leeches here. These creatures actually are the parasites that possess humans. We've got larger scale creatures that develop that just came out of time. So they're not from another dimension or from space or from hell. They actually came out of time. So if you think of a swing set, you think of a child
I'm afraid I don't know where he was going with that, because that's where that video cuts out. I would like to have actually heard his explanation about how these monsters came out of time. I don't know, something about 4 balls on the edge of a cliff. That's how time works. As for the soul leeches, in the final game you never actually see anyone get possessed by a soul leech, and you never get attacked by any. My guess is that Raven Software weren't able to figure out how to make the soul leeches into a fun enemy to fight, and so they decided to cut them. It would have been weird if you'd seen Spetsnaz getting possessed by soul leeches and yet they never attacked the player. So yeah, they kind of dropped that whole thing. But they didn't completely cut the idea of the soul leeches. You'll see they do show up a little later. Now, next to these remains, you can find a Centurion pistol, in case you decided to arm yourself with the assault rifle and shotgun, and then had second thoughts and decided you'd rather use the rubbish pistol instead. Oh yeah, interesting gnarly trees. I'm not going to waste ammo by trying to shoot at these guys. The moment you do, they'll just teleport away anyway.
There were 12 of us. We sought shelter in the nearby warehouse when the Singularity exploded. But then those things found us. There are only 3 of us left now. We have to get off this island.
Oh, he's got a barrel. He's out of phase. Gotcha. That did not go well. Let's try that again. What? Thought you could teleport and sneak attack me from behind, did ya? I love the death animations. There we go. That's how it's done. Let's try with the assault rifle. Piece of cake. The assault rifle turns anything and everything into a piece of cake, and that's without any upgrades. And yeah, it took his leg off. See, he's got this sort of deformed double head. There's several different variants. Some have got a normal head, some have got a double head. And they're all wearing the torn remnants of Spetsnaz uniform. So these are actually Spetsnaz soldiers that have been mutated or possessed.
We've either lost the monsters or they grew bored with us. We're safe for now. Pavel twisted his ankle and we fear it is broken. We'll rest here for tonight. As luck would have it, our little haven has a chess set and a stash of vodka. All the comforts of home.
Checkmate. Knight defends rook, but bishop takes king. Sorry, Pavel. I think the idea there is that the other guys decided to sneak off. Pavel, the guy with the broken ankle, woke up to discover that he was on his own. Just that note, giving the final chess move. Uh-oh. No big deal. Kind of weird at the end there. Yeah, there's this glow coming from his chest. Zeks have the ability to go out of phase with our time. And yeah, they turn into these sort of insubstantial ghosts. Which means that you can't hurt them, but they can't hurt you. They use it to close the distance and then rematerialize when they're in striking distance. Now, even if you missed the fact that you could use the weapon locker to change your weapon loadout, you should find this shotgun lying here. So those that ended up playing the next hour of the game with just the pistol were really unobservant. So that was a thing. You thought dealing with one Zek at a time was bad. Now you gotta deal with a ton of them. The shotgun will knock them back. Shotgun is pretty ideally suited for dealing with Zeks. As is the assault rifle, but that's suited for dealing with everything. And yeah, the pistol or assault rifle will cause them to do these interesting death animations where they continue to try and crawl around after their death, while the shotgun will just blast them flat on their back. Of course, if you riddle them with bullets, they don't do that crawling around animation. Ah, there we go. And stay down! Singularity takes place in a research facility known as Katorga 12. But where does that name come from? The term Katorga refers to a system of forced labour prison camps that existed in old pre-revolutionary Russia. They were mostly set up in remote regions of Siberia, though there was also one on Sakhalin Island. In the Soviet era, the Katorgas were replaced by the gulags, but prisoners could still be sentenced to Katorga works, which meant that they would be sent to the worst gulags of the harshest conditions, and many of them died. This history also explains why there are creatures named Zeks, as this was a slang term for Soviet prison inmates, short for zaklusheny. Early in the game's development, the Zeks were supposed to be prisoners that were used as test subjects in Soviet experiments, and were transformed into feral creatures. Later, Raven Software came up with the idea of the Zeks being Spetsnaz soldiers that were infected and taken over by soul leeches. This makes the reason for them being called Zeks a little less obvious. Perhaps it is supposed to imply that some sort of remnant of the original person might still remain, a prisoner trapped inside his own body. Raven Software chose the names Katorga and Zek because they wanted to infer that Element 99 was discovered in a remote labour camp and that the facilities were built by inmates. But why did they call it Katorga 12? Does the number have any significance? From the 1940s onwards, the Soviet Union established dozens of closed cities that did not appear in any map. These secret settlements contained sensitive military, industrial or scientific facilities, such as weapons factories and nuclear research sites. Instead of real names, closed cities were known only by post office box numbers of nearby major cities. For example, the town of Seversk used to be known as Tomsk 7, named after the nearby city of Tomsk. It contained several nuclear reactors and chemical plants, and in 1993 there was an explosion at the Tomsk 7 reprocessing complex that released a cloud of radioactive gas, an incident that Time magazine included in their list of the world's worst nuclear disasters. Until 1994, the town of Ozyorsk and the Mayak nuclear industrial complex were together known as Chelyabinsk 65, and earlier as Chelyabinsk 40, named after the city of Chelyabinsk, which was 75 kilometers away. The Chelyabinsk region is one of the most polluted places on Earth, as for years massive amounts of high-level radioactive waste were dumped into lakes and rivers, and there were over 30 nuclear accidents, including a major disaster in 1957 that rivaled Chernobyl, but which was covered up for decades. For the sake of secrecy, the inhabitants of the region were not told anything, and there was no evacuation, so vast numbers of people suffered from deadly radiation poisoning.
Здесь воду сливали с 48 года по 52 радиоактивные отходы, поэтому мы пили радиоактивную воду. Вот висит знак, что запретная зона, проезд запрещен. А в детстве вот здесь на этой полянке мы всегда купались, отдыхали с детьми. И люди, которые жили здесь, работали на этой водокачке, живых никого уже не осталось.
Katorga 12 is supposed to be a closed settlement that uses the same sort of naming scheme as the other closed cities, but it's located on a remote island, and so rather than being named after a nearby city, it was named after the old labour camp. Singularity's sinister history of dangerous research and child test subjects doesn't seem quite so far-fetched when you consider the complete lack of concern for the workers and families in the real-life closed cities such as Chelyabinsk 65.